Hi guys, welcome to Purple Corner. How are you doing? Today we'll be talking about how March and Cupid, the animation, was made. It's an animation from year 2021 when I was studying in high school, and this was actually my final project. So when we were finishing high school, we could decide between three different finals. It was either graphic design, filmmaking, or 3D design. And so I decided to go with filmmaking, although they meant more in a typical sense of recording yourself doing stuff. I was even back then big fan of animations, and I had done some animated shorts before, so I decided to just make it an animation. It still classifies as filmmaking. One of my biggest dreams is actually making an animated series. Even if it would be a short series, it's still a series. So this was my closest attempt to that. Because, well, I realized it was simply impossible for a single person to finish an animated series unless you're like a god. This was basically supposed to be a whole episode, like a pilot, for the animated series March and Cupid, but I was so time pressed that in the end it was just like half an episode. It didn't even make the full cut. The whole process went something like this. First, you have to figure out what kind of theme you want to go with, have a catchy idea, and then you have to find the voice actors, you have to write the storyboards, and then get animating. And it's just a lot of research, and I think this one also took me like a year and a half altogether. I actually had to postpone my graduation because I wasn't finished with the final project. So, first, creating a catchy idea and the general story behind the animation. My idea kind of was something in a sense of a generic character, the main character. It's not really even specified if it's a girl or a boy, it's just sort of non binary to kind of help the person feel a bit more like that character. That's one of the things some video games do. For example, Undertale is they don't really specify the gender, and that way you can kind of more relate to the character, whether you are a girl or a boy or non-binary or any other gender. So I tried to kind of apply this. That's why their name is Marge, because I found that name kind of gender neutral, and they don't really have like any prominent features like say Disney with every female character having the huge lipstick and the eyelashes or anything like that. So it's just kept nice and clean and simple. So our main character, March, actually has a really relatable storyline of being a young adult that is trying to get a job because you have to live off something, you have to pay rent. And when I was making this, I was actually in his shoes. I was also a young adult studying in high school, but also moving it to my first flat. And so I was running a lot of part time jobs to actually get the money for the rent, basically. And I just found it a little funny that he would be doing the same also when he goes to the job interview. He's like, why did you apply for this position? Well, I need to pay rent. So I also, for no specific reason which I could remember, made March like really short. I mean, I'm short, okay, go short kings, short queens, but in this story, it was this sort of like downside of the character, let's say. Each character needs to have some like positive qualities, but also some challenges and some negative qualities. And I guess I was just relating to this character a lot because I was like, well, I struggle with being short every day, you know? You can't reach high shelves. You need like the taller service person. That would be his kind of downside and his sort of challenge that he has to like deal with, just like being really small, being made fun of, and generally struggling with getting a job because usually they have some like requirements, and March is just way too short. They're not gonna hire him at any position where he should like be at the counters chopping onions or whatever because he needs like a stool everywhere. I think he's just cute. So we have the main character. I had like the basic premises set for them. I didn't really think about their personality that much, except for like being sort of generic, just working hard, really positive type. And also he would be really curious, which is also one of his like I wouldn't say exactly downsides, but one of his like challenges that also brings him into the situation and into the happening of the animation. The basic premise, I started talking about the character and then I completely forgot about the premise. We have the main character, March, gets applied for a job. And then he notices that, yeah, they hired him very easily, surprisingly easily. And then not everything is as it seems in this job. It's a supermarket job where he's just supposed to be the store clerk, be at the cash register and restock the supplies and stuff like that, do the cleanup. Relatively simple tasks, but doesn't turn out so simple after all, does it? Basically, the first part only gets to the point where he discovers a mysterious door at the interview, which the manager just kind of like doesn't want to talk about it much, just like about something about a curse. And so March, of course, gets curious why that is. And his curiosity leads him to opening the door, and then I will not tell you what is happening next because I'm constantly thinking about finishing this animation. I guess all I can tell you is he comes across some sort of ghost named Cupid. Cupid is like a really specific type of ghost which only March can see because he actually like freed him from the curse, and Cupid can normally interact with his surroundings, like he can touch physical things, but nobody else can see him, so you can just see a bunch of floating popsicles or something around the store, and he's kind of mischievous but not in a bad way, let's say. He just likes to have fun. And but he means well, you know, like he tries to help March pursue his like hobbies and his dream job, let's say, and also helps encourage March. In the end, they have a really interesting dynamic. Like March, despite being a very let's say optimistic and cheerful, usually is pretty annoyed about Cupid, who, despite seeming mysterious at first, is actually just kind of trolling around, you know. So that was the basic premise. And then I had to do a bunch of other things. I had to write the screenplay. And I'm not a background artist. And I'm also not a voice actor. And I'm also not a screenwriter, okay? Let's get that out of the way. I think I should have hired a screenwriter if it wasn't like part of the assignment that I was supposed to screenwrite it. So, writing the conversations, thinking about it is like this character has to say something, and this one has to react, respond, and then this one has to react, respond back. And I was trying to go with it, but you can just tell that it's not really a professional screenplay. Really, the conversations seem pretty unnatural at some points, and I think that maybe even some shows can have it like intentionally weird. But for this one, it wasn't intentional at all. It just feels kind of janky. The next part is the storyboard. So I actually have a nice thing here for you. This storyboard was drawn by hand on these like papers, and it's actually the entire story. Basically, every single time anything changed on the screen, it would be like a different kind of frame. And this storyboard is not just for the beginning that you see. I was actually planning to make this much longer in the beginning when I started. I had, as usual, wishing to do more than you're capable of. So it's actually the entire first episode. And also, the screenplay is written for the entire first episode. But then was the tough times. You have the characters ready. You know what their premises. You design them sort of. I had some basic designs ready, and I kind of got later into it after I also knew some voice actors that I was gonna use. My voice actors were mostly my high school friends, which had some acting and theatrical. Is that the word? Theatrical
Theatrical.
experience? I guess so. So I already knew from the beginning who March would be and who Cupid would be. And then I just kind of designed the characters also based on that. So, as I mentioned, March with really like optimistic outview and just general, very generic, happy character, I would say. I went for the yellowish color scheme because yellow is usually associated with happiness, complemented by the orange and blue. I think I went with sort of like almost autumny colors. I know March isn't really an autumn, but I just when you said March, I just imagined this like cozy little character with his like foil hat, and it's like happening in fall. So with his cute little hat and his cute little scarf and his comfy hoodie. So it was a go, except for the shorts for some reason. I don't know why I like the shorts. I just felt like, despite him being a young adult, I kind of wanted him to seem almost childish, as in, yes, he is an adult and he is trying to do adult things, but there's this just sort of child inside of him that is just sort of what I would say naive, I guess. So all the like magical things happening don't seem really too weird to him, and he doesn't seem like creeped out or something as a regular adult probably would. He's just like, oh yeah, there's a goal, that's normal, don't worry about it. He's just like down with it. So he's wearing these cute shorts, and then obviously cute detail, for some reason he has like the plaster on his knee because he's just clumsy and he's just falling over, and it's not a it's not a high fall, but it still hurts. And his cute little sneakers. I think a lot of my characters back then was just like cute little sneakers and a hoodie because that's how I was dressing, and it was just comfy. Why would anyone dress fancy when you can dress comfy, right? For Cupid, I had a voice actor picked from like the very beginning because I have a friend who went to high school with me, and later we found out that he also happened to be at the same elementary school in a completely different city as me, but that's irrelevant. But he's originally from Great Britain and he does theater as a hobby. And honestly, I've been to a few of his plays and they're great. So I just kind of knew I wanted him to be the second main character, I guess. He is really passionate when voice acting, and that was so great for Cupid. Because Cupid is, I'm gonna tell you, he's a magician. You can probably see by his outfit in the opening video because he has like this black and white outfit. I made his skin a little purplish because purple, in my opinion, very nice and also mysterious color combined with the turquoise looked really good. He used to be a magician before he died. That's why he's so like cool, and he's like really confident, I would say, and I don't know where he got mischievous, but I guess being locked up for a while in a curse is kind of tough, so maybe there. But yeah, I wanted him to be really like extravagant and really feel like he doesn't fit the rest of the environment. And I got him these like cute, what do you call them? Black and white stripy suspenders, you know. It looks like he could be also wearing some sort of like jacket or suit over it, but no, he's just like after the show. It was just like, yeah, it's a strong fashion statement. And also he has this like black and white bow tie, which is also pretty iconic for him as the character. It appears as a symbol within the show a bunch of times, or at least in the storyboard that I have written. And so I had the character design, storyboard written, screenplay written, voice actors picked out. So what do? You record the voice acting. And that's where we stumbled upon a huge problem called the big sick time. So it was impossible. Like, I am not jealous of the people that decided to do live action filmmaking, you know. I had it easier, I can just animate it, but you know, I already decided that this would be one of my voice projects, so I needed to get some audio of the voice actors, obviously. It was really complicated to get everyone recorded. Plus, I was in my first flat, which was absolutely terrible for recording. I had the microphone from like a supermarket for like $12, and the quality was terrible. I swear it was capturing every audio that you didn't want to capture except your voice, you know? I managed to get the guys tested and they were free, so I got my manager, which was also a friend from high school, and Dennis, who is Cupid. So I got them to my flat to do the recording on my shitty microphone. I swear that would be the easiest part if the floors weren't creaking. I swear. You sit on the sofa, you sit on the couch, and with every movement, it just screeches because it's like this old falling apart leather and it just makes awful fart sounds all the time. You get up or you slightly shift around, and the old wooden floors would just be creaking non-stop. Not to mention the windows we had there. They were really old wooden windows with no sound isolation to the outside world, which didn't get replaced in forever because it's a historical property and you don't get to change the windows that go out into the street. And in the street, there are like trams and cars. It's like the highway, and drunk people and whatever. It is just like the city center, honestly. So it was terrible. We had to retake so many parts. Just somebody shifted. Oh no, there's the floor creaking. Oh no, now there's a tram passing, you know, the car honking, whatever. So even if we just pulled the curtains to kind of isolate the sound from the outside, it didn't stop anything. And and that wasn't all, I swear. Even the doors in the whole flat. It wasn't like just my flat, you know? It was that sort of shared flat where you live with two other roommates and you just own one room, you know? It's not, it's like, yeah, flat sharing. And the doors outside are also all wooden, have never in their life been exchanged. So I you could also hear everyone like walking through the hallway, going to the bathroom, doing their stuff in their rooms. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And I'm telling you, that was the easiest recording that I got to do with Peter and Dennis for the manager and Cupid. The second hardest was getting our main villain. So I haven't talked about Morgan yet because he hasn't yet come up. I'm not gonna tell you who it is. I might show you photos if I find him, but I think many of my designs have been lost in time. Morgan is actually the bad guy, and he got voiced by my friend from the city. His name is Sam, and he also was a rapper. His voice was really deep and raspy, and it was the perfect villain voice. And I loved his voice acting so much for a person that's probably never voice acted before, but he has just like the performer in his heart. So he did a great job, but it was also tough because we also did it in my flat with the background noises and everything. But that wasn't the only background noise happening that I just described in the previous situation. Because he came along with my ex boyfriend and his friends, and they were standing in the hallway in front of the room, behind the old falling apart doors that wouldn't block out any sound. And they were chatting and they were laughing. I swear, uh, Morgan doesn't have too many lines. It's like maybe, I would say, 2 minutes of recording. And I swear we had like 10 to 20 minutes recording because I always had to go outside and be like, guys, please, we need a second, just a second of not talking. And they were like, okay, sorry, sorry. And then you go back and start recording. And in a minute, they're also just getting, louder and louder. And then they're laughing and you have to go again. And that was a struggle, a real struggle. I now know that you don't want to bring friends when you're doing a voice acting job. So, but still, thanks Sam for doing the awesome voice. I think that if I manage to find a recording, I would still like to use it. The problem is the recording is terrible quality. And then we had like two other characters, which one is not so prominent. Uh, March actually is a cat person. He owns a cat named obviously Mr. Whiskers, and I got my sister to do that. She's also not a voice actor. I just thought it would be really funny to force my sister to do weird cat sounds into the microphone in my flat. And lastly, we have the main character, March, which was honestly the biggest struggle because if you gotta battle some background noises, okay. But if you gotta battle the fact that the person can't arrive and they're far away, you can't get to them, they can't send you the recording even. I had a person from my old high school that I didn't go to anymore, and she was also a great actor, and I really wanted her for March's position because I thought that she had a like good voice for them and also that sort of let's say gender neutral voice. And she was willing to do it. The problem is we never just had time to actually finish it and meet up, or like we had some short part, but it wasn't the whole thing that I needed, and that way I couldn't finish it. I was seriously running out of time. I mean, I'm saying it as if it was easy to get these people to do the voice acting for me, but it was actually so impossible to get everyone to meet up with me. I swear I spent maybe like months getting these people to come over and read their lines. And I was especially postponing everything with this one friend because we were supposed to meet maybe like 2 or 3 times. And then in the end, we always just had to cancel, or she would show up, but we hardly had enough time to finish it. So I was left empty handed, which was tough because there are two ways you can make an animation. Either you have the voice acting ready and then you do the animation based on the voice acting, or you can have the animation ready if you know how to animate the mouth without hearing the audio first, and then you can have the actor's voice over it. But I am not a professional animator which would know how to very naturally move the mouth if I don't hear the audio firsthand. Not to mention, my voice actors weren't professional voice actors, so I couldn't ask them to voice over something that's been already pre-animated. It's like so much harder in my opinion. This way you can just talk, say whatever, you can make your own pauses. It gives you more free hand with the voicing. So I didn't have anything animated by the time I had the voices prepared. But it was tough because the first scene is just like March, and every scene in the beginning is just March talking. And when you don't have March's voice, what the hell are you supposed to be doing? You draw the backgrounds. I was drawing the backgrounds, right? In the end, I gave up and I was like, I need a person to voice March. But I didn't have any friends that could speak English well enough to do it. So I was just kind of like, I guess I just do it. I didn't want to, honestly. I was terrified because I know I suck at social interactions, even in real life. And now I'm supposed to be voice acting my animated short. Like, it was a nightmare. But I didn't have any other option at that moment, and I was seriously time pressed. So I finally finished the voice acting, thanks to myself also. But I'm gonna be honest, the voice acting is probably the weakest part of the whole animation because it's not professionally made. And if I ever decide to remake this, which I have already probably decided that I will remake, because honestly I think it has a really good potential, but I will probably just hire some professional voice actors, even though I don't know anybody, so it will be tough. But if you know anyone, just drop me a DM. And we're gonna continue this video in part 2. So if you enjoyed this part, please leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!